All right, this is Unit 4.3, Evolution and Natural Selection. And we will be talking about the source of variation. So, how do you get genetic variation in a population? If say you just start with a population of organisms, how do you get you know green eyes, blue eyes, brown eyes? Like where did these eye colors come from? Well, basically, there are five sources of genetic variation. So, one, two, three, four, and five. And humans, as sexually reproducing organisms, we have all five of these. That's great. That means we have a larger, we have a more sources of genetic variation, and genetic variation is good for survival. But for asexually reproducing organisms such as bacteria, they only have two, and that's the first two. So these are gene mutation. You already know this is the change in the DNA sequence. The second one is the chromosomal mutations. So chromosome X. And these could be, inversion, deletion, addition, while the the base sequence, the nucleotide sequence of the gene hasn't changed. Something weird has happened to the chromosome, which is significant, and usually it's something bad. And the remaining three are only exclusive for sexually reproducing organisms, and these are crossing over, crossing. And this is when you have a pair of homologous chromosomes, right? They lay out like this, and one in another color. And parts of the sister chromatids of the two homologous chromosomes swap places. So that segment will swap place with that segment here, creating a new combination of chromosomes, thus new genetic variation. The fourth one is independent assortment. This is when pairs uh, of homologous chromosomes are randomly assorted before they are pulled apart. So let me do this in another color. So this is a possible combination, but this could be totally random. So you could have black on the right, black on the left, and black on the right for this one. But in another instance, it could be totally opposite, or you could have all black on the right side. And that, of course, will create gametes containing different genetic information. So that's also how you get genetic variation through meiosis. And the fifth one is random fertilization. This is when random gametes meet, right? A random sperm meets a random. Sorry, why did I draw this in red? Black is good. All right. So sperm, egg. The chance of a sperm fertilizing an egg is entirely random, and yeah, so there is no rule for doing this, and it's hard to predict which sperm will fertilize which egg because it's very random. All right, next one is the gene pools. So gene pool, let's draw a circle. Gene pool, large pool. A gene pool is basically all the genetic information within a interbreeding the species. So the gene pool of human is just all the DNA all the genetic information of all the humans, right? No matter how old you are, what country you come from, and what genetic disease you have, it's all included in there, whether you're healthy, unhealthy, old, young, athletic, everything. That includes everything. And the larger gene pool. So if you have a larger gene pool, that would mean you have more genetic diversity. So humans, we are organisms with a large gene pool. That means humans have a very high genetic diversity. And this is very good for survival. Why is a high genetic variation, high diversity good for survival? Well, so let's do that again. Large gene pool equals large increased diversity. And what this means is it is more likely for a population with a large gene pool to have, some individuals that is resilient or favorable to certain selection pressures. So more likely to survive, more likely to survive. Let's say a disease, right, wipes out a population, and the population has a small gene pool. What's most likely to happen is out of that small gene pool is not going to contain the disease resistant gene. Thus, the population is going to be get wiped out. What happens next? Well, the it goes extinct. Nothing happens. They all die. This is bad, right? The population no longer exists. But for, say, example, if you have a population with a large gene pool, that would just mean you have more diversity. And what that means is, this is just logic. You're more likely to have the disease resistant gene out of that big gene pool. So certain individuals, probably a small amount of individuals with that carrying that gene, will just survive the disease while the rest will be wiped out. Now this is better because at least some individuals out of the whole population gets to survive and keep pass on their genetic information. And what this means is the most common phenotype. So the most common physical feature out of a whole population is likely the most suitable for the environment. And why is that? Well, this is again just logical. If you think about it, um, let's say let's say cheetahs, right? Cheetahs are very fast, but have you ever considered the possibility of slow cheetah? This is just hypothetical. Let's say you have a slow cheetah chasing a very fast, a prey, a deer or something. Um, it's not going to catch up to the prey, and it's going to starve because it has no food. Sad face, no food. And as a result, the slow cheetah doesn't get to pass on its genetic information because it doesn't live long enough to be able to mate with a female cheetah. But whereas the fast cheetahs, right, the speedy boys, they're able to go fast and catch those preys and have food and live long enough so they can have more, so they can interbreed with other cheetahs and produce offsprings with similar traits. Thus, you get fast cheetahs. But although this is the case, there may be presence of less successful phenotypes present in the population. Somehow there is a slow cheetah and he survives very well. Maybe he uses a different way of hunting. Maybe he just waits for the prey. He doesn't chases them down. All right, that's the end. Cool.